That's the Unit 3 content. So what I'm thinking about, Miss Claster, would you be okay with answering questions on sequences and series? Or would that be, have you looked at that at all?
I can.
Because we could do, like,
What we covered last week.
mm-hmm.
Didn't we cover the sequences? The
Mm-hmm. We did.
sequences. But you
Well, and if you're not okay, if that's not good, then they can just watch that recording. So, and here's what we did in the last session, guys, is Miss Claster had her room open, and I've got the link still there, and she was just answering some questions from students that were in a previous unit. So if you have something specific that you need help with, that you want cleared up, I don't mind if y'all want to go to Miss Claster's room and work on that. I kind of want for this lesson to be about what I planned on, because I want there to be a recording for when you get there, that there's something that you can refer to. So if you have something you need help with, and Miss Claster, you can link me, or you can use that teacher pod or whatever, if there's something that you're not sure about or where it is or whatever. Is that too disjuncted, or is that okay?
That's fine. I need to open my room for.
Okay. All right. So if you have a question about Unit 2, or, and it may just be that you just need to finish it, which, that happens. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about conic sections, take notes on it, and know that this is the information that's coming. And when you get there, this will help you. Okay? I've got a video clip, and I want to give it to you at the end, because you can watch it after I move on to my next group. So I just wanted to mention that. And it's kind of cool because it shows you a three-dimensional cutaway of what a conic section is. So a conic section is a double-naped cone and the intersection of a plane. And when you look at those intersections, you get what they call conic sections. They're circles, ellipses, hyperbolas, and parabolas. And at the video clip, they actually do a digital, and they turn it so you can actually see what it is, and there's no way I could draw it. So I'm going to show you all that video clip. Don't let me forget. So that's the key, is don't let me forget to share that link with you. When you look at this first lesson, all they're trying to get you to do is understand the general idea of what's going on with the conic sections. They're having you do a T-chart and sketch it, and sketch the graph, which isn't a bad task, but I like to know generally what I'm looking at as far as which conic. 22y minus 17 equals 0. If it looks like that, if the only thing you're worried about is the coefficient of the x squared and the y squared. If they're the same, then your conic section is a circle. If those coefficients are not the same, but they're the same sign, so they're both positive or they're both negative, then it's an ellipse. Okay? If A is not the same sign as B, so if A is positive and B is negative, or the other way around, it's always a hyperbola. It doesn't matter if they're the same number. If the signs are opposite, then it's a hyperbola. And you don't even know what a hyperbola looks like yet, and I'll show you. And if only one variable is squared, so if A doesn't exist, or B doesn't exist, or I should say if A, I should have said it this way. Let's see if I can write it on here. If A equals 0, or B equals 0, then it's a parabola. There you go. Okay, so if either of those. if A equals 0 or B equals 0, then it's a parabola. Okay, so all you're doing, it doesn't matter. All the rest of the equation doesn't matter. The only thing you're paying attention to are the two terms that have the squared variables. Okay, I'm going to give you all a minute to write that down, because I don't think that's given in the book. That's just Mrs. Long's take on okay, Miss Claster has her room open, so if you have a question about Unit 2, you can pop over there, because the link is right above the chat pod. All right, so give me a green check when you've got that written down so I can know to go to the next thing. I don't think it's given to you in this format. They kind of talk about it more globally, and there's all these real complicated formulas. I don't get into all that. I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. So when you're working through these lessons, if you come up and you're like, I'm so frustrated, go back to the live lesson recording, because I'm going to to the next thing. So that bottom part says if a equals 0 or b equals 0. In other words, if there's only an x squared or there's only a y squared. All right, excellent. So Cody's got it. So when you're doing that first lesson, great, Brandon's got it. When you're doing that first lesson, if it says what kind of conic section is this, all you're doing is comparing those coefficients. All right, now I want to talk about parabolas. You've done parabolas before. You've talked about them. You've studied them before. There's two things that are different of what we're looking at now, is the focus and the directrix. And now we're going to have sideways parabolas. That's not the math term. That's Miss Long's term. They call them horizontal parabolas. I call them sideways parabolas because they open to the side. All the parabolas you've ever dealt with in your life opened up or down. Now you're learning that there also can be sideways parabolas. Good. And you might have done some of these before, absolutely. And here are the general formulas. Now here's the thing that you have to understand that I think that is not made as big a point as it should be. The thing to understand and know is the distance from the focus to the vertex and the distance from the, I'm going to put it out here, is the same, and it's C. Okay? And it doesn't matter if it goes this way. The distance from the vertex to the focus and also the distance from the directrix to the vertex is C. And that's important because C is in the formula. C. But what's the difference in the two that are given? Because if you can pay attention to the differences, it's, yeah, can the X and the Y are switched. Yeah, there you go. Here's the thing that as a student always tripped me up. Always. Let me get a different color here. You know the vertex is HK. That's familiar to you. You've done that before, right? The H is the X part, right? The K is the Y part. And the formula that you're used to is the X minus H squared plus K. But look here. The sideways one has Y minus K. The Y part of the vertex stays with the Y variable. It's Y minus K, then the H is on the outside. So the sideways one is a little bit backwards, but if you can pay really close attention to the formula and how it's different, you'll see that it's no big deal. All right, do y'all see that? The Y minus K squared is the sideways formula. And the K is the Y part of the vertex, going with the Y variable. So if you have an up and down for parabola, it's X minus H squared. Just sideways, I know. Sideways, I know. Right, sideways, like crickety, right. And if it's a sideways parabola or horizontal parabola, it's going to be Y minus K. The Y part of the vertex stays with the Y variable. The X part of the vertex stays with the X variable. Does that make sense? You see the difference? And I'm going to let's do some problems with it so you can see what. Now, when you look in the book, you're going to see a bunch of formulas. I'm never ever going to use those formulas. If you're a student that loves formulas, look in the book, write down the formulas, love, and use the formulas. I do not love formulas. I am going to use them when I need them and only when I need them. On every single problem that I do for conic sections, I'm sketching a picture. Because if I can see the picture, I don't need all those formulas. And I would rather look at the picture and understand how it's all related than have to memorize a formula, because I will always get them backwards. And I'll always get a sign off, or I'll put the wrong thing with the wrong thing, and it's always very frustrating. So if you love formulas, that's great. Use those formulas. I do not love formulas. I will not be using the formulas. But I can show you how to do it. I'm just going to have to look at them. I just can't remember them right off the top of my head. Now, the two that you have to have for parabolas are these two. These two you got to have. Definitely. Okay? So let's do this problem. Write an equation of a parabola with the given vertex and the focus. So what in the world are we going to do with that? Here's what we're going to do with that. First of all, we're going to write the problem down. Let me get rid of that. That looks like a mess, doesn't it? Whew. Okay, where did my pencil go? Oh, there it is. All right, let me write the problem down real quick. It's the was 6-1. Now here's the thing. Hold on. I know you can't see it. Just a second. Now you should be able to see it. Does everybody see my little whiteboard? Okay. What I'm going to do every single time I do one of these problems is I am going to sketch a picture. Because I don't know anything about this thing, but once I see the picture, I'm going to know so much about it. So my vertex is at 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 right here. And 6, 1 is my focus. So this is my focus, and this is my vertex. Just because I know what I know about parabolas, I know this parabola opens sideways. Because the focus is always on the inside of the parabola. And I didn't have to remember a formula for that. All I had to do was plot what I know and go up. So I know I'm going to use the y minus k squared formula. And that's exactly how I write it, so that I don't have any mistakes of putting the y and the h together. This looks like a 4, doesn't it? It's a y. Okay? And I wouldn't have known that had I not sketched the picture. But and it doesn't say anywhere graph, it just says write the equation. But if you do a picture, then you can write the equation easily. The hk they already gave us. They gave us the vertex, right? And remember I told you that the distance from the focus to the vertex is c. Can we count? Yes, we can. 1 unit, 2 units. So c is 2. Because I can count, I didn't have to memorize the formula. So I'm going to plug in 2 here. I'm going to plug in my h, which is 4. And I'm going to plug in my k, which is 1. And then I'll have my equation of my quadratic. Of my, not quadratic, what am I doing? Nope, not polynomial. What am I graphing? Parabola! Parabola, there we go. Woo, I really had to search hard for that. So we got 1 over 4 times 2 equals y minus 1 squared plus 4. And there's the equation, except I would want that to be 1 over 8. Oh, not an equals there. That's not an equals, that's a times. Sorry. That's a great question. Let's write the equation of that as well. Let me fix this real quick. Because sometimes they give you the directrix. So there's the equation of our parabola. What would the equation of the directrix be? Let me do that in a different color. Let me pick blue. I know that that's 2. So 1, 2. I know that my directrix is right here. So that's the equation x equals 2. Because this distance is also c. So the equation of the directrix would just be 2 units in the other direction. Does that make sense? It's not an ordered pair, it's an equation of a line. A directrix is the line. That's a good question, Daniel. Does that make sense, though? Okay, cool. Because they might say, given the directrix and the focus, or given the vertex and the directrix, or given the focus and the direct, it doesn't matter which pieces they tell you. If you understand how they're related, you can come up with the equation relatively easily. All right, anybody else have questions about this one before we do the next one? These are really straightforward, but you have and the vertex to the focus is c units. It is simple. But now, it's simple because I've done it since the Dark Ages. You have to remember that. I've done this over and over and over and over and over. Your job is to practice it enough so that you feel comfortable with it as well. All right, let's do number 28. Identify the vertex, focus, and directrix, then sketch the graph. So here they're giving us the equation, and they want us to find all the pieces and parts. Okay, no problem. We have a little bit to do here. We can't graph this. This isn't in the graphing format. But we can make it be what we want it to be. So first of all, let me get the problem down. X squared minus 8x plus 17. All right, let me get a new paper. Oh, and I still can't remember the problem because, okay, here we go. Y equals x squared minus 8x, oops, plus 17. All right, now let me share that with y'all so you can see it. All right, so we're going to down or left and right. You base it on what is squared. So which way does this one open? Kind of think about what you know. This looks like just like all the other quadratics you've ever done ever, right? Delaney's she's gonna guess. I'm proud of you. There you go. It is. It's gonna open up because the x is the variable that is squared, and we know that there's a positive number here, so we know that this parabola, when we go to graph it, is going to point upward. If the y was squared, then we would know it was left or right. But since the x is squared, we know it's going to be open, up or down. Okay, now we need this to be in the format of 1 over 4c times x minus h goes with x. We need it to look like that. So what we're going to do is take these x terms and we're going to complete the square. Remember how to complete the square? If you don't, we're going to practice it. All right, we're going to kind of leave the square so we don't have to do any extra work for that, which is nice. And then we're going to take our middle term, half it, and square it. So half of negative 8 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. That's our special, lovely, complete the square number. Do you remember how to, do y'all remember completing square from before in your math life, hopefully? Even if you don't love it, by the time you get done with this unit, you will be a great completer of the square person because you have to do it all the time. All the time. All right, so that special, great, and wonderful number that you found, we're going to add it here, but we can't just add something to an equation. So out here, we're going to take it away. So we're going to add it and take it away. And by doing both, we don't change the equation at all. We could have added 22 and took away 22, but that doesn't help us. We added this special number because it makes this part a perfect square trinomial. So then this is x minus 4, because negative 4 times negative 4 is 16, and negative 4 plus negative 4 gives me my negative 8. And then 17 minus 16, that's a negative 1 out here. I mean, positive 1, sorry. Yes, I know. And it's all messed up, and it's making me crazy. It keeps falling over. And I do that because my feet swell up from sitting at my desk all day. All right, so what's our vertex here? Right, remember it's x minus h squared plus k. Everybody's waiting. What do you think? What's the h? What's the k? It's right there. There you go. Now everybody's typing. Fabulous. And y'all were writing. I know. I have to let you do it all. Oh, nobody's typing came through. Oh, writing it down. Okay. I know. I gotta wait. I'm impatient. I'm sorry, Brianna. My brain goes too fast. No problem. That's right. It's going to be your h is 4, because remember the x minus comes from the formula, so you have a vertex of 4, 1. Okay, so if we sketch this, and we know our vertex is at 4, 1, right here, we know it opens up because the number focus and the directrix. So remember, the part that's in front of that is 1 over 4c. So we know 1 over 4c. In this case, there's a 1 here. So if there's no number, you assume that there's a 1. Is 1/4. So what happens is you've got an ordered pair right here that's the focus that has a distance of 1/4, and you have a directrix right here that has a distance of 1/4. So this one's going to be y equals 3/4, because this $0.25, this would be 25 cents. Right? And then this one, the focus ordered pair, would be still have a x value of 4, and it would go up 1 plus 1/4 more, so it'd be 1 and 1/4. So that's going to be the ordered pair of your focus. I didn't rather just count, because I think that's easier. And I've had a few students that did better with the formulas, but for the majority of the students that I've had in the past, the pictures and understanding the relationship of the pictures seem to work so much better. All right, now that last little part might have gone a little bit quick, so I know y'all are writing it down, and I'll wait just a second and field those questions. Let's do it like, Hold on. Put that back up there, sorry about that. All right, so then when you get done writing that down, give me a green check so I know, and I'll quit. I'll give y'all just a minute to process. I know I went through that very quickly. And it's hard because I can't see your faces to see if I'm doing it too fast or not. All right, y'all are writing. I know I'm being disruptive, but my son did not have school today. And he is still asleep, and it is 1:30 in the afternoon. That is ridiculous. Ridiculous. All right, Brenda's got it good. All right, give me a green check when you're ready. Well, he spent the night at a friend's last night, so my guess is they didn't sleep at all. Yeah. You get it all written down, sometimes you're like, okay, what have I written down? Do I need to go back over that? It's all good? Okay, cool. All right, let's look at the next thing. Circles. All right, you got a standard equation, and there's only one standard equation of a circle, and there it is. Circles, to me, are the easiest conic section. You didn't know. Let's say this is my very pitiful circle. The radius is from the center out. And don't get that confused with the diameter, right? The diameter goes all the way across and through the center. And I know everybody knows that, but sometimes, you know, it's okay. All right, so here it says find the center and graph. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so we got minus 4y minus 16. All right, let me write that down. Don't shave. All right, because Daniel's a great guy. All right, it was x squared minus 16 equals 0 minus 4y. Well, that makes a difference for y. All right, let me get this where y'all can see what I'm writing. Okay. We want to find the center, and we want to sketch a graph. So we need to know what the radius is. So what we're going to do is complete the square a couple of times. In order to do that, we're going to group the x's together. Well, there's only one x term, so yay, that one's easy. Then we're going to if this had an x term, we would complete the square. It doesn't, so we know that the h is 0. So you could rewrite that as x minus 0 squared if you wanted to. Now, here we're going to complete the square. We're going to take our middle term, special wonderful number, that we're going to add, and we're going to add. We can add as long as we do it to both sides. So here's the thing to remember. If you add and subtract on the same side, it's the same as adding to both sides. And you can do it either way. Just got this ready to get the vertex. Okay, so we have this problem all ready to roll. So we have x minus 0 squared plus, oh, this is a y, hello, y minus 2 because my radius, this is radius squared. All right, let me let you get that processed. That's a really good question. The format for this problem has the radius on this side, right? But on the parabolas, let's go back, it didn't. That was all on the same side. So if you're you can add to both sides. Does that, and that's a very good thing to get straight. Does that make sense of why I did it one way for one of them? The only one that you're going to add to both sides is the circle. The rest of them you're going to add and subtract. Okay, cool. And that's a very good thing to get straight because sometimes students try to do it one way or the other all the time and it won't work. And it's, you have to keep in your mind what your format is of the one you're working on. So for a circle, you're going to add to both sides because the radius will be over there by itself on the other side of the equation. If we had left the 16 over here, then we could have just added 4 and taken away 4 and then moved the 16 over. That would have been the same thing. Is our HK. And our radius is the square root of 20, which is 4.5. It's about, we'll do a squiggly equals. It's about 4.5. It's a little squiggly equals because I'm rounding. So if we were to sketch that, it's really easy to sketch. 0, 2 would be here. And then I would go up 4.5, I'd go down 4.5, I'd go right 4.5, and I'd go left 4.5, and then I would this ordered pair would be the square root of 22. This one would be the negative square root of 22. Right? This one would be 2 plus. That's what I try to get for writing in a whiteboard with a mouse, little, minus the square root of 20, 0. Alright, that's a lot to keep track of. Dog, get off the table. Sorry, I tried to put her in a box before I started, and she would not go. Because she knows that she would have been in there for a little while. She doesn't like it in there. So I didn't feel like fighting with her today, and now she's on the table. Okay. Questions? Good? Or y'all just writing it down? I'll wait just a second. Just type in the chat pod when you're done. That either you have a question or that you're ready to move to the next one. To me, circles are the easiest. They're always going to be done the same way. There's not a lot to remember. There's a center, and there's a radius, and that's it. There's just that, not that much to get confused about. All right, Delaney's good. Oh wait, that was from before. All right, super. All right, we'll wait for Cody and Brianna. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so let's do the next thing. I think, or was that the last thing? Let me see. Okay, that was all. Oh my goodness. Well, we can go back and do some Unit 2 questions too. If you're watching the recording, these are the things that I need you to work on. What we are going we'll do them little by little by little, but the goal is for you to practice, practice, practice. Let me see if I can get that video up. Hold on just a second. Here we go. And I'll let you guys watch that. If you have a question about a different unit, I do not mind answering that as well. To take a few minutes and watch that, and we'll do that now while the recording's rolling, and then if you have questions about it, you can let me know. It's a really cool introduction to the thing. So I'm going to be quiet, and then I'm going to clear off your checks, and when you get done listening to that, then give me a green check. Uh-oh, we lost somebody. Oh, looks like Brianna got kicked out. Maybe she'll be back. There she is. Alright, Brianna, did you get to watch the video? So, y'all see I could have never drawn that in a million trillion years. So, was that helpful to see what that cross-section looked like when they turned that cone around, that double-nape cone around, and you could see the ellipse or the hyperbola or the parabola? And that's what you're finding when you're looking at these different conic sections. I thought that that was a really cool representation of that. There's no way I could do that on a look at it from a picture perspective that makes it much more straightforward. We have about, what, 10 minutes left? Any questions from Unit 2? I don't mind doing a couple of quick question Unit 2 problems. If there's, something, and I know that some of y'all just needed to wrap it up. Some of you are already done with it, which is great. If you're watching the recording, then this is what I want you to send me. Just share it with y'all today, and hopefully you're good. Don't forget the Unit 3 course calendar that I want you to follow is on the message board. So make sure to grab that off of there so you know kind of when to do what when you get into Unit 3. And if you're behind, that'll help you know where you need to be. All right. And that's all I have for y'all today. Uh-oh, I went blank. Okay, there I went. I'm always so afraid when... All right, we don't need this. Well, actually, we'll leave that up for my next session. All right, so y'all are welcome to go, and I appreciate your time. I hope you feel like this is a good use of your time, and that you get some really good, useful information when you're here. I'm glad you come. Week since today's already Tuesday, and I will see y'all next time.
Hey.
All right, bye. Bye, Brianna.
I'm going to send you a link for the recording that I did.
Oh yeah, that'll be good. Okay. Can you just kind of also tell me what like just generally questions from unit whatever, or if there was something specific on there, because then I don't have to watch it to know. Because I'm kind of lazy. Because then I can put, when I post it to the message board, I can kind of let the students know what it is, and that will be great. You say that again?
Yeah, it was in the very beginning of Unit 2. It was...
That. Okay. Yeah, that'll be great, and then I can post it to the message board, and then it'll be on there with today's recording as well. That'll be great. I know, and it's okay. Did you feel like you were able to help them clear up some stuff?
background,
Good. Good. Okay. Cool.
I might say things differently because I just look at them a little bit differently. So I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I think that that worked good, and I'm sure for the students that were trying to finish up Unit 2, it was nice for them to be able to do that and get that, you know, feedback for what they're working on. So that was good. Yeah, I kind of thought he was in there with you, so that's kind of a bummer that he ended up not being in there.
Okay. All right.
But I'm not surprised.
Okay.
Alrighty, very good. Well, thanks for your help, and we'll see you next week. Want you to have to come?
Yeah, because all of my German lessons.
That's right.
Go to the staff meeting,
Yeah.
but I do want to go.
And that then she knows that, and that may be why she's not sending you that too.
It's from 11 till 4.
Yeah. When is your German time? Yeah. Yeah. Last semester, I had them right after the staff meeting, and then we had those 10 o'clock sessions sometimes with shareware, and so it was like I was like a crazy person on the Wednesdays that I had to go to the office, so I understand that for sure. My Wednesdays now are not till 2, so it's a little bit easier. So that's really good. All right. Oh, I got to turn off the recording. Whoops. Oop, I'm frozen.